Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of In the Studio Live. I'm your host, Bobby Balo. I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytown Productions, which is an online studio. I also run a Facebook community for music creators that are trying to level up their music. So if that sounds interesting to you, you should check it out. Um, again, it's called the Home Studio Fast Track. And tonight, I don't have an interview lined up. I know I've been saying I'm trying to go more to just the interviews, but I felt like I should bring you into the studio and master some music tonight. I haven't really done a lot of punk stuff on the show before, so I figured I would do it. It's got a cool vibe. It kind of reminds me of it's early Bad Religion mixed with like Modest Mouse kind of thing. It's just got a lot of character. And so, we're going to see how I approach something like that in the studio tonight. So, if you're new here and you haven't seen the show before, this is interactive. I'm just hanging out in the studio. So feel free to go on the chat, say hi, send me a message, tell me where you're from, tell me if you make music, what kind of music you make, and we'll have a dialogue. It's a real conversation. It's pretty awesome. And I think that's pretty much it. This has been a whole lot new for me. I will be changing the show to every other week coming up. I just have too much stuff going on, and I'm super excited to share with you some of those things that I'm going to be rolling out here in a little bit. But I can't tell you too much yet. So, so we'll do it every first and third Thursday, same time. So don't be upset if all of a sudden you don't see me going live at 8 o'clock every single Thursday. That's why I'm not forgetting about you guys. It's just, I just need a little bit more time and, to keep delivering on some awesome live shows. So, with that, let's talk about the beer I'm drinking tonight, which is a new one. It is by DC Brau. Again, classic, right? Me drinking the local brewery. It's called the Imperial. It's a double IPA. It's actually pretty impressive. It reminds me of a blend of one of my favorite IPAs that I first fell in love with called Two Hearted. It's got this malty characteristic to it, and then it has this nice hoppy, clean, bright thing going on. So it's kind of like if you blended just a really clean IPA with a Two Hearted. It's amazing. So cheers. Yum. All right. I got to pull this microphone over. So let me switch you guys over to the session. So let's see, where are we at? Oh man, there's my sticky notes. All right. So, I want to give a shout out to some people that are popping in. So it looks like we have Brian here. So Brian's actually the most amazing person ever because he's the one that sent me the session for me to master for all of you guys. So that's awesome. Anthony, what's going on, man? And we got Kurt West. What's up, man? Where are you guys all from? I know where Brian and Anthony are from. Let me know in the chat. All right. So let's just give you guys a little sample. Shall we? Hello. While I have another sip of this delicious beer. See, doesn't it kind of have a Modest Mouse thing going on? I don't know. It's kind of a cool thing. I'm digging it. And then we have this cool vibey outro. I dig it. And then we go to the next song. I don't know. It's just got so much vibe. I'm digging it. This is amazing. I love this stuff. This kind of has what am I thinking? There's some Dead Kennedys kind of vibes and Dropkick Murphy. Man, this EP is so diverse. Let's see what else we got. A little slow it down. Okay, cool. So we got a lot of diversity here tonight. So this is gonna be an interesting one. So let me just explain what mastering is, just really quickly, just in case you're not really that familiar. Mastering is basically back in the day. Let's just start there. It used to be you'd have your mixing engineer, and they hand it over to the mastering engineer, and their job was to basically, I guess they were kind of like cutting engineers and mastering engineers, and they kind of morphed into one. But they were in charge of making sure that the audio that was finalized, or as close to finalized as you could get it, would transfer appropriately to like vinyl when they go cut vinyl. And that took a lot of talent, because you have to know how the audio would interact with the needle that cuts the vinyl, and if you overdo it, you cut the grooves too deep, you could do weird things, and then when you go to play your record, it'll jump around, like the needle will bounce around, it'll skip. So it was really, really important that you get that right. But more modern music, so fast forward to the 90s and in the 2000s and stuff, now mastering is now classified as like more of like the creative final process. It's like a quality control for the mixing engineer in the band. So I got sent the mix, and my job is to just make this the best version of it can possibly be. Okay, so that's like the grand vision of what my job would be. So my job is to make sure that it's going to sound awesome in your earbuds, on your phone, laptop, in your car, everywhere. Okay, so the way I do that is essentially we're just going to listen to the song and see if anything takes us out of the moment. And then we're going to figure out a way of dealing with those problems using different tools. So I have a whole bunch of tools. We'll talk about them, but let's jump back into the session. All right. Danny, what's going on, man? Welcome. It's got to be super late by you, man. What is it, like 4 in the morning? So I'm just listening to the audio, trying to see if there's anything that I think is a little distracting. Say goodbye to the world you knew, and all the ones you know. Things will never be the same. Welcome to the older world, so step right in. The people here have one saying, hey, you, get inside this. Okay, so after listening to it, I think I have some ideas. Some of the cymbals sound a little bit harsh to me. So like the hi-hat sounds a little fatiguing. The kick drum has this click to it that I just want to tame a little bit. And it sounds pretty well gelled together. Say goodbye to the world you knew, and all the ones you know. Get inside. But there is some low, like flubby low, like bass that we need to figure out how to tame down a little bit. So we'll do that a few different ways. We'll try a few different things to straighten that out. So Danny says it's 1:10 in the morning. Time for bed. Yeah, man, get your sleep. Sleep is super important. All right. So first things first, let's just take a look at the EQ. I'm hearing a lot. This is a crazy thing. Let me switch over to this one. So let's just take a listen to it and see if there's like some really loose low end stuff that we can just get rid of. Because honestly, a lot of times songs have frequencies that are lower than what we can even hear and lower than what most subwoofers can produce. So a good strategy is just get rid of that crap, tighten it up a little bit. If your subwoofer has to wiggle around for 28 hertz and we can't really hear that, we're just wasting like the energy to move the subwoofer back and forth, and it's not doing anything musical for us. So we want to make sure it's nice and tight. So let's go take a look and see what we're working with. And so there is something I want to point out. I don't think I've ever talked about this before. But low frequencies are notoriously inaccurate on equalizers. And I just upgraded to Pro Q3, so I don't even know if I know how to find it. Oh, here we go. So you want to make sure your resolution is set to maximum. It's not by default. I think it's at medium. Watch how different it looks. Right? I mean, it looks very different than when I change it to max, right? This gives us a lot better idea of what is actually happening in low frequencies instead of just having a giant block that wiggles up and down, right? So what we're doing by increasing resolution, we're losing time resolution, which I don't really care. I just want to like look at that and see if, you know, what it looks like. I'd rather know what frequencies are where than if they show up on the display 100 milliseconds later, you know? And I totally didn't show you guys. Tim, I'm sorry, man. Here, let me show you one more time. So, here we go. So, here are the frequencies. This is with, so in FabFilter, let me show you. Let me just get out of this thing. So, it's down here, this little settings. Change this, resolution is usually on like medium, I think. So, look at what the waveform looks like. See this? The low frequencies, it just looks like a blob, right? And then now we can see that there's actually a lot of weird stuff going on here. We can identify that the kick drum's actually here and the bass guitar is now sitting below. Whereas before, we couldn't even see any of that stuff, right? So, and I don't think anybody talks about that. So that's something that's really important, especially in mastering. You really want to have tools that tell you exactly what's going on. So let's try to address this. I just want to tighten it up a little bit. The length of that kick drum is kind of long, and then there's this like low energy swell that comes at the end of it. We got to be careful. So I have it in linear phase mode. I might get it off of that. So like I said, you guys may or may not even be able to hear what I'm doing. Okay, cool. So right there, I'm liking that. It just gets rid of that low flub. And then I want to point out something else. There is this bass note that jumps out. They call it one note bass when this happens, where like the bass player will play and then one note will just pop out of the mix and be really loud. Let me show you. I heard it in this part right here. Let me pull this back. Yeah, the doo-doo. Do-do-do. Yeah, I wonder if I can, let me isolate it for you guys so you can hear this. Yeah, you can see them actually right here in the equalizer. It's these guys that are jumping out. So we need to address that. We just want to make sure that they're, not doing that. So FabFilter has this cool feature. I don't know if we're going to do it this way, but let's just try it. You can literally grab the peaks, pull them down like that. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have it set in dynamic mode. So this way we're not constantly cutting out this 170 hertz. Like there's a lot of useful stuff there. We don't want to mess with that. So this way, if it exceeds a certain threshold, then it will pull it down. It's kind of like a multi-band compressor, just a little bit different. So here's the issue that I'm having with this. If you notice, listen to the snare. You can also see this thing every time the snare hits, it's pulling frequencies down. It's sucking all the power out of our snare. Right? Like the snare just sounds so weak now. So that we can't use that. That's not going to be a good solution to this. And unfortunately, the bass and snare are both pan dead center, so we can't even like do a mid-side thing to target it. But I want to show you guys this tool. This is Soothe, and I played with it a little bit because I didn't want to just spend 20 minutes like trying to figure out if this is going to work or not. I figured out a way to make it work. So Soothe is an intelligent resonance suppressor. Okay, so it literally is going to find a resonance that we have and pull it back. So it's like a de-esser, but a little bit different. It's for more droney type things or ringy cymbals. I'm just gonna turn my mic. Anthony, you gotta stop hating me so much about Soothe, man. I'm telling you. Soothe came out on the second plugin. It didn't even wait to the end. All right, but check this out, because I don't see people talking about that using Soothe to control one note bass. So let me show you. This live stream is just worth it for this one tip. All right, check this out. Let's loop this. Oh, I turned it off. There we go. So let's just listen to what it's removing from the audio, okay? And then I'm gonna show you how. I'll just here. Hold up. Let me all right, I'm gonna reset this. Oh, I hope I don't screw this up. Flat start. All right, cool. So let me just show you how I dialed in what I did. And I was able, I think, to completely avoid affecting the snare. Let's check this out. All right. So it's typically set up like this. What I did was I just pulled this low pass down to about the lowest frequency where I thought the resonance was. And then we pull this in, and we can just listen in delta mode and try to hear where we're just isolating those like bass frequencies. You guys probably, I hope it's loud enough for you to hear this. Hold up. I'll give you a little volume boost so you guys can hear what I'm doing. But I'm going to probably forget about it, and then when I take it off, it's going to be super loud, so just warning you. All right. All right, so I'm just going to tighten up this a little bit more. Tighten this up a little bit more. And then we can use this to basically enhance that region where the bass is kind of honky and droney. So that was right around 170. Then we'll widen it out a little bit. So we're getting a little bit of the snare in there. It's probably hard to hear. I'm really sorry. I can't really do anything better than that. So what I'm going to do is just adjust the sharpness and selectivity to really target those resonance bands a little bit more. Kyle, what's up, my man? Good to see you. And I'm not interviewing somebody so I can have a conversation with you. How have you been, Kyle? Cool. Something else we can do. Change it from left-right to mid-side, and let's just pull it into the center because we don't want to mess with anything on the sides. We know the bass is sitting in the middle. All right, cool. I want to attenuate it a little bit harder, so we'll go to the hard setting. Classic. Whoa, that's too much. All right, but I can hear the snare in there, right? So the secret, well, let me get the zoom lens out here. So the secret is to adjust the attack time. No one ever talks about this knob. This knob is amazing. Watch what happens. We're just going to catch the bass notes and the snare will just run through. See that? And the reason is because the drums are a very transient instrument, right? You get a very, very, oh my God, I did it again, guys. Here, let me just do this one more time. So check this out. So right here, this knob, I swear I'm going to have trouble. Yep, I know. I screwed it up, Tim. All right. So right here, I don't hear the snare anymore. I mean, maybe a tiny bit, right? But it's way, way better, okay? Now, because we've targeted that, I'm going to come in here and turn this down so you guys don't get blasted. And, all right. So now we're going to pull this down, take it off Delta, and then we can ride this thing up and listen to that one-note bass, and then the bass will just start getting pulled down. And it's not going to wreck the drums. It's not going to wreck anything. I remembered. Boom. Amazing. And before I forget, let's crank up this a little bit. I always like to do a little bit higher oversampling. It's always a good call. Not always, but use your ears and test it. I have a video on all this crap, on how to test your plugins. You should check it out. It's on my YouTube channel, which I didn't mention. So if you want to search through, I have tons of videos on different mixing, mastering, music production techniques. It's on youtube.com/RaytownProductions. So I just dropped one on how to make a guitar cabinet IR. You probably, maybe you can see it. There's the guitar cab right here. So I showed you how to do that. I give you files to do it. And then I also have one called, it's like a shoot out of a bunch of clippers. And I talk about how they use the same hard clipping algorithm. That has all the files in that video that you need. And you can download that from my YouTube. It's pretty cool. Check it out. Okay, Tim said he saw the clipper video. Cool. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. And actually, a really cool thing that happened is some other people took those files and were testing their plugins, and someone posted on Facebook like the results, and they're like, I don't know what this means. It looks weird. Can someone explain? This doesn't make sense. And someone tagged me in the video or in the post, and I looked at it, and I was able to recreate. I had the same plugins. We recreated the weirdness that we saw, and we ended up sending an email to the company. And it's a big company. It's actually FabFilter. And said, hey, here's all of our data. This doesn't make sense. What do you guys think? What do you recommend? And it turns out they're working on a bug that we discovered in their oversampling because of that video that I released. So that's like, I'm so happy that happened because that video had very mixed opinions about it. And I think it's doing amazing things for the audio community. And I'm so glad that we got it out there. All right. So let's keep on rolling. Yeah, it's that one, I want to get this one little guy right here. Hold on. All right, cool. All right. This is, I'm hearing a lot of harshness, so I just want to kind of scoop out some of, it sounds like it's like around 6K or something. It's in the cymbals and the guitar. So let's just look and see if we can just do a general cut just to kind of clean up that area a little bit. All right, so it's right here. It's 5K, and it might be on the sides. Let's listen. Maybe not. Let's see if it's in the middle. It might. You know what? If we can't isolate it, like if I'm not 100% confident where it is, and if mid or side is going to solve the problem, I always go to stereo because you really don't want to mess with mid separated from the sides. It's kind of tricky, and it can do weird things to the mix really fast. So I'm just going to go back to this and do the old faithful, Tim, thanks for kicking it with me tonight, man. Have a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you again next time I'm live. It's going to be the first and third Thursday, so don't forget. All right, so let's find those harsh frequencies. I don't know. I actually think it's probably right around here. So again, instead of doing just a normal like an EQ cut, let's just put it in the dynamic mode, just so it attenuates things as they start to build up, and then that way it's a lot more transparent sounding than if we were to go in and just like, carve it all out. Cool. All right. So the general shape of this is starting to come together. Let's look into using a little bit of compression just to give it a little bit more movement. And because this song has so much vibe, I think instead of using like I don't know, I want to try like something that has a lot of movement that's kind of grabby. I don't really know the best way to explain it. But Shadow Hill's compressor kind of has that feeling to me. And I feel like this is going to just excite the music a little bit more. So I will say, I'm going to take a drink of this delicious beer. But if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat and let me know. Do any of you guys master your own music? Let me know. That'd be cool to know. All right, let's bring it back. So this plugin is overwhelming, right? Like, did they have to put this many knobs on it? So I have to figure out, there's all these little bypass knobs. So we want to do the optical first, and then we want to do the discrete second. So I want to just make sure we're hearing the right crap. Sidechain. Okay, so here's the optical. When you're setting like a bus compressor, I've said this like a billion times probably, go crazy with it. You want to hear what it's doing to the music. So I don't feel like this optical compression is really helping the music, right? I mean, I know it's like I'm slamming it, but like there's not really, nothing about it being slammed is cool or intriguing to me, is what I mean. Now, if it was like, oh, it's crunchy, but it has like a cool like brightness to it, or if it has a cool like snap or attack or something, then that's good. That's a good sign. Then when we back it off, it'll probably want to keep it. Just a little bit on there. But I don't know if it's really doing much of anything that I like. Hello. No, I'm not going to use it. Let's try this other one. So this is really two plugins in one. And it looks really confusing, but it's basically you divide this in half, and we only need to focus on this half. All right, so let's dig in with this discrete compression. It would help if I turned it on, huh? Here we go. Oh man, it's really doing some work. So this sounds a lot cleaner, a little bit more groovy to me, this style compression. But you can see how it's like really breathing. I mean, we'll definitely reduce the ratio here. It's a little bit concerning to me. I don't want it to make you seasick. So, but let's just see. I feel like it's doing something to the kick drum that I really like. All right, so let's dial this thing way back. All right, so you can hear like without this compressor on, the sub is just kind of crazy on that kick drum, and it's a little bit overwhelming. Cool. I like it. Let's try to add, let me see. Let's listen some more. Man, that kick drum, we really have to do something about that low end. So let's dig in with a multi-band compressor and see what we can do to just try to like constrain it. It's just a little bit too loose for my taste. All right, so this is a multi-band compressor. So I'm basically grabbing everything about 85 hertz and below. And how do you determine that? You just listen to the music and find a spot where you think it's running away, right? Like, we don't want to mess with the snare at all, so let's keep it lower than that. You know what? Let's take it up a little bit higher. Let's take it to like right around 100, because I think it's going to play into the bass a little bit. What I mean by that is when the kick drum hits, it's going to compress, and it's going to kind of make the bass kind of swell back up rhythmically with the music. And so I think we can like kind of lock in the bass and kick if we kind of bite into the bass up a little bit higher. So the bass guitar there's a lot of it in like the 80 to 120 hertz range. So, and the kick drum seems to be really sub heavy. So let's try this and see what we can do with it. So I'm just gonna bite into it, give it a really slow attack so that the punch of the kick drum will still come through, and then we'll play with the release to just try to add that movement in the low end. I'm digging that. That sounded pretty good. Let's see. Let's put on these other bands. All right. Let's just... Again, I like to do a little bit slower attack. Again, this band has a lot of that snare. But this is also where a lot of mud is in the song. So we do want to try to clean this up the best we can. So let's actually try something different tonight. Let me copy this over. Let's put it in expansion mode. This might blow some of your minds. I don't know if it's gonna sound good, but we're gonna try it. All right, so basically what I'm trying to do is increase the dynamic range in this region. And what that's going to do is that's going to lower down basically the mud, and then it'll go back up to normal volume when there is some sort of like transient from the drums. So like the snare hits, it'll go up to normal volume, so then you have your snare punch, but then it'll pull everything back down. So it's like someone taking a volume knob and moving it up and down just for the muddy range. But I don't know if it's going to work because it's going to be too hard just to target the snare. We can try to do some fancy stuff, and we'll try it by manually setting the detector to kind of hover over where the snare lives. But the issue is that the bass just kind of swirls around in that area, so I don't think this is going to work, unfortunately. But, oh, and again, I did it again. So let me show you. Here's the free band. You can enable it this way. I'm so sorry. I stopped doing these live streams where I like show like me mastering music for like 3 weeks, and I forget all like to keep changing the camera angles. I suck. So yeah, you could see this. These bands keep wiggling around. But notice when the snare hits, the band goes up, right? So we get the punch. Like this sounds, for this part, this is the right thing to do. Problem is that all these other parts that are really busy, it's really hard. Okay, I think that's going the right direction. So let's just leave it. I'm just gonna kind of pop this up a little bit and take away from it at the same time. And this is just gonna kind of increase the average like loudness in this range. If you want to think of it like that. I think this is too much. Those hi-hats are getting brittle. So I'm actually just going to have it just gently squeeze down on that. I'm here. Oh, man. See, we got to get rid of linear phase. I can hear the pre-ringing on the kick drum from that. So much better. Oh, man. All right. I think we're doing the best. I think that's an improvement. Let's keep going. Do you guys have any questions so far? Let me know in the chat. And if you're sharing a beer with me, let me know what you're drinking. All right, let's do a little tape saturation on this. I think it's gonna help smooth out that top end of those cymbals, and I think it's gonna help maybe glue in the kick drum a little bit more. So I'm gonna use Waves Kramer tape. Love this plugin on a master bus. It just adds like this nice like gel to everything. I don't know, and it just seems to open up the mids a little bit. It's amazing. Too much. So let's do a little before and after. It's amazing. It feels like when it's bypass, the mix feels claustrophobic, and then you turn it on and it just makes it pop. So that's bypassed. It's awesome. Cool. Yeah, this is coming together. So let's get some loudness out of this. I'm a little concerned using inflator. I'm usually like a huge advocate for this plugin, but the kick drum on this might be too loose. An inflator does some weird things to the low end that we're going to want to watch out for. It'll make it too punchy sometimes, which is usually like a really good thing, but you don't always want that sound. Yeah, the kick drum, it just is like, it's just blooming. See, the one thing I really dislike about this plugin is there's no way to like compensate for the level increase. So it feels like every time you push the fader up, it sounds better, but it's very misleading. Yeah, you can feel the low end is starting to get out of control. I'm not ready to give up on this yet. I am going to use some weird black magic plugins though. Let's use Gullfoss on this. So this is I don't know. I don't even know what it is. It's basically like a dynamic EQ or a multiband compressor, but there's like thousands of bands, and it targets like certain frequency curves that just sound awesome. I don't know. Whatever they're doing on the back end of this plugin is pretty cool. It's very unique, and I think it might be just the right tool to, adaptively target that kick drum. So let's just try it out. All right, let's do some bypassing because, I don't know, it does so many things, it's hard to keep track of what it's doing. So I want to make sure the vibe is, like, right on. Ian, what's up, man? Thanks for popping in, man. We're doing some Black Magic mastering session tonight. It's amazing. I love what this is doing on this mix. It's just cleaning up the mids and doing something to the low end that I really like. But let's listen to make sure that it's doing the right thing to that kick drum, right? Because that kick drum is doing some weird stuff. It's doing exactly what I was hoping it would do. Awesome. So inflator can stay, guys. I'm such a dummy. How did that happen? How long have I just been running? 4 minutes I've been running my mouth without you guys being able to hear me? Oh, man. This is the worst live stream yet. That's okay. That's why we have beer. Lost your mic. I'm getting all sucked into the details. Yeah, Ian, I literally just there's mute buttons on my little camera changer thing, and they're too close to the camera buttons, and I must have hit the mute button at the same time. Yeah. Yes. So someone in the chat, I wish I could pronounce your name. It's Authentic. Authentic says Soothe can get artificial sounding really quickly. Totally agree. That's why it's really nice to put it in this like delta mode. And when you're listening, try to make it sound as unmusical as possible, because that's the harsh crap that people aren't going to want to hear anyways. If it sounds musical when you're adjusting the knobs, then you probably shouldn't be using Soothe in the first place. So that's something that's like really good advice for that. What up, Mommy B? We're using my favorite tool. It's called Soothe. All right. Let's just ride it up. And now, because we've kind of pulled the balance away from the middle channel so much, we can be a little bit more aggressive with the harshness attenuation on the sides, and the vocals won't be sacrificed. Yeah, Authentic, I hope it helps, man. Cool. Yeah, right around here. So let's go to a part with the vocals. Bypass. There you go. So that is doing its job now, right? When you bypass it, we don't really notice it affecting the vocal. It doesn't sound lispy anymore, but it just makes it a little easier to like listen to the track. Cool. Yeah, it helps. Those hi-hats were kind of bothering me before, and now they're sitting in a nice place. All right, cool. Let's check out my favorite free clipper. So if you guys need a good clipping plugin, check this one out, dude. I love this one. I made a video about this. This actually, in my opinion, sounds better and isn't coded as poorly as some really expensive plugins that I shot out against it. So definitely worth checking out. This is called Free Clip by Ven Audio. So we're just going to squeeze a little bit of volume out of this as transparently as possible. And what I mean by transparent, I gotta qualify this, because clippers are notorious for adding a lot of distortion and stuff. But in terms of impact and power and aggression, clippers are the most transparent. A limiter is going to make everything sound mushy, but it won't sound distorted. It'll sound just soft and like lifeless. Clipper is going to keep the aggression, but it's going to add in more audible distortion. So we have to really listen for what's happening to like the kick drum and the snare as we start clipping the audio, and then compare that to a limiter and see which one we like better. Okay. And I typically will use a clipper to gain some volume before a limiter. And if we want to get technical about what I'm talking about, is I'm trying to adjust the crest factor. So let me show you what that looks like. So like right here, for example, you see how we have like, there's like a main block right here of audio. That's like the average loudness in this section. And then you have these little peaks, right, that are popping out. So sometimes when I get songs to master, these peaks will be really high. So they'll be like way up here, and then the average volume is here. And what ends up happening is you're going to have, in order to get volume out of the track, there's a few ways to do this, but just let's just pretend all we have is a clipper and a limiter. In order to get volume out of the track, we have to take the clipper or we either take a limiter or a clipper to lower the height of these peaks. You use a limiter to smash it down. The limiter is going to be doing a lot of work, like attenuated by 6 or 10 dB, like a stupid amount. And then it basically sucks all the life out of the track. Or you can use a clipper to basically shave off 4 decibels, or maybe cut off half of the maximum height to the average, and then you use the limiter just to take down another dB or 2, and then that gives you the best of both worlds, where you can minimize the amount of distortion you add by using the clipper to like knock off the majority of the transient, and then the limiter just is there just to kind of squeeze at the last bit, take the edge off, and then be in a really clean way. So that's typically how I approach this kind of stuff. So, but let's see what this can do. Yeah, so that you're hearing it, it's getting like mangled, right? And the one thing I don't like about this is you can't really see what the heck's going on. So let's just put this in, just so we can watch the waveform change. Okay, so there's our peaks and there's like our average. So let's just try to knock down some of those transients. There we go. So really, the things that are going to distort first are going to be any of the low frequency things. So really listen to the kick drum. That's way too much. Let's try a little bit softer clipping. And this might not be the way to go. Yeah, I don't like that. What ends up happening is it starts adding a lot of saturation. And so you start changing the tone and the feel of it. It just starts sounding distorted. So I tend to always stick with the hard clipping. It just sounds the most aggressive and like faithful to the original source, as long as you don't overdo it. And then we'll just push this up and finalize it. All right, let's see what we got. So something I want to mention, actually, let me bring all this crap back to 0. That's the opposite of 0. There we go. So we're just going to ride this thing up. And if I hold the Alt button, it'll adjust the output. So we won't hear any increase in volume. We'll just hear the compression that's occurring with the limiter. So then we can really dial in the right level. So let me just show you. Actually, our clipper is being a little aggressive. Just let me adjust this one more time. All right, so let's ride this up, and we'll listen to what it's doing to the audio. We'll go way overboard, and then we'll switch through all these different settings and find one that we like. So listen to like what it's doing to the audio. Like listen to the color and the crunchiness and the movement. Okay, that's what I'm listening for. And then we'll go through different styles and find something that fits this vibe the best. That's doing weird stuff to the low frequencies I don't like. Punchy's okay. Dynamic's a little crunchy. This sounds way too soft. Like we're losing like our snare. This one's okay. It's a little bit distorted. Let's try modern. Our snare is like dead on that one. Bus. Maybe bus is actually okay too. Let's go to that crazy part. I didn't think I was going to like the bus style, but I think I like that the best. I like that, and I like the punchy the best, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. The snare's kind of going away. Let me try this one more time. Maybe the snare is just going away just in the song, like just the performance of it. Let's try aggressive one more time, and then I'm gonna make a decision. If you sit here and play with this stuff for too long, you lose perspective, and I think I'm losing it. When I'm mixing and mastering, I actually have my levels set way lower than ideal, I guess. So Ian's asking, how loud or quiet are my monitors? I took a SPL meter to them recently, actually, and I mix and master like around 68 dB weighted C, or C weighted, weighted C. And if you analyze like the Fletcher-Munson curves, like 82 dB is where our hearing response is the most flat. Right around that. I'll touch more on that, like in a course that I'm working on right now. But I find that mixing or mastering at that loudness, it just it burns you out too fast. I'm a believer of like turning it up for a little bit, turning it down, turning it up, turning it down. And then like when you think you have it really good, just crank it, like make it 100 dB, like blast it, like, and really listen to the low end and what that's doing, and make sure that the highs aren't too harsh. But in terms of like on average, I think I'm around 70 dB, which is pretty quiet. I guess that's based on what people mix at. Like if you were sitting next to me, we could have a conversation without like yelling. All right. I'm glad you asked that question, because that's going to let my ears rest a second so I can decide if this is the way to go. Man. Let me try this one more time, and then I'm done. I'm going to make the decision because it's past 9 o'clock. This is doing weird thing to the low end that I've been trying to avoid all night. We're going with aggressive. So let's crank it, and I'm just going to adjust the attack and release. We're going to listen to find an optimal setting with it cranked, pull it back, and just finish this mix. And by mix, I mean finish the master. So when it's way back here, it gets a little like pumpy. I think this is about right. All right, cool. Let's turn this down. Check this out. This is what I like to do. We're going to turn these meters off completely, if I can remember how. There we go. Turn that crap off. This way, we're only using our ears. We're going to do the gain compensation trick, holding Alt, push this thing up, and we're going to listen for the mix. We're going to hear where it starts breaking up. We're going to back it down to the point where we feel it sounds the best, and then we can turn it on and see how much we're actually doing. But this is by far like the best way you can do it, because when you're looking at meters, it's kind of like cheating. You're not really listening anymore to the song. You're listening. You're like looking at it, and you looking at a meter is influencing your decision. So I always like to turn this crap off for that last bit of volume, and then we can see how loud it is. Breaking up. So right around here is where we're starting to hit some limiting. Listen to what happens to the snare and the kick. Like that's anytime you're doing a limiter in rock or punk or metal, those are like the things you want to listen for because they're going to be influenced the most by a limiter. And so really focus on that and you'll hear exactly what it's doing to the music. That's getting too much. I still think I hear it. Hang on. It's biting in here. I can feel it. So actually right around here, I think right around this is where it sounds the best. I'm going to pull it back 1/10 of a dB. All right. So let me, I don't think it's too quiet, is it? Oh, no, you guys, I'm not going to turn this up. It'll blow your speakers out. All right, so let's turn those meters on and see how much I'm actually doing. Because I might not even be attenuating anything. I'm just like tricking myself into thinking I'm setting the limiter right. We're going to find out, though. But I'm pretty confident I'm taking just a little bit off right underneath the, like, where it starts breaking up. Here we go. Turn these bad boys on. What is this? Display mode. Oh, look at that. It's so subtle. That blows my mind. So yeah, I was hearing right, like literally right where the limiter was just catching the peaks without even having a meter on there. 0.1, 0.2. Oh, there we go. Well, there you go. That's the right volume. I love it. So let's do a little before and after. I'm just going to get rid of this guy. We'll see what it sounds like, and then we're going to wrap this bad boy up. Let me just do a quick loudness match. It's actually loudness matched, pretty much. So, yeah, here you guys go. I'll play it. When this turns from blue to gray like that, everything's bypassed, and that's the original mix that was sent in. When it's blue like this, that's the mastered version. At least the first iteration of the master, right? So mastering is not, I don't just send this off and say, this is the final master, you must obey me. Like, that's not how it works. It's a back and forth iterative process. So I'll send this to Brian, who is amazing, and he's going to give me some feedback. If he loves what I did, we're done. If he wants me to kind of shape the tone a different way or give it more volume or whatever he wants, I'll come back in and we'll work until it's perfect. All right, so let's check it out. We'll start with his mix. Well, let's start with what I did, and then we'll go to his mix, and we'll switch back and forth. And let me know in the chat. This is always like nerve-wracking right now, is because like I don't know, maybe I made the master sound worse. Who knows? You can lose perspective when you master, and it'll be very obvious when it's loudness matched, and then you remove your mastering chain. So let's get it. Do you hear that one note bass? Like, you might not have noticed it when we first started the live stream, but you can really hear it now in this section when it's not mastered. I'm happy with that. I think what we did was exactly what it needed, but I'm totally biased. So let me know in the chat if you think it sounds better. Give me a thumbs up somehow. I don't know how you do that in the chat, but give it to me. If you think I did a worse job and it killed the vibe of it, let me know too. But with that, we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. So cheers to you, Ian. He says he's grabbing a beer. That's awesome. I might have to have another one of these. This is absolutely delicious. Again, this is DC Brow, their new double IPA. Amazing. And the company is amazing because I know the owner, and he's like a really great dude. So I'm happily supporting his brewing decisions or whatever. I don't know. But I hope you guys learned something tonight. Definitely, Brian, you're in the chat. You definitely need to drop a link to your band's stuff so people can see it. And I will post it in the show notes so you guys can check out this album or the EP when it drops officially, which should be sometime soon. And if you want to learn more about this stuff, definitely stop by my YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube right now, kicking it with me, awesome. You guys are ahead of the game, but it's youtube.com/Raytown Productions. It'll take you to my channel. I also have a Facebook group. It's called the Home Studio Fast Track. So there's a lot of cool people in that. Actually, a lot of amazing producers and mixing, mastering engineers and creators that are all in that group. Everybody contributes. If you need questions answered, that's the place to go. There's, like I said, there's huge talent just lurking, waiting to help people make better music. So check that out. And Brian, thanks again for letting me show your music to the world and master it live. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a good weekend. And again, I'll be doing this not every Thursday anymore, but the first and third Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on all the platforms that I'm sending it to. And yeah, I hope to catch you guys in the chat again soon. All right, have a wonderful night.